His ship has left port without him. Oh, what a shame. I'm sorry. I'm not really in the mood to talk right now. My son Diogo should have left with this ship, but he didn't show up. I can't help but worry.
Do you know where he could be right now?
If I knew, I wouldn't be here worrying. His captain was furious. She had no idea where he could have gotten to. Diego can be reckless, and I know he explores the island from time to time. And to be entirely honest, we had an argument before he left. I keep imagining the worst. If you happen to find him, could you tell him to come back to town as soon as possible?
We could help you find him, but we'll need some information.
Of course. I'll answer as best I can.
Does your son have a special place he likes to go? A hiding place, perhaps?
He's always loved exploring the island, but I don't know of a favorite spot. He often leaves the city and goes into the wilderness, but I don't know where or why he goes there. To tell you the truth, I'm just now realizing that I'd never asked him. I've never even offered to go with him. Oh, I hope nothing has happened to him.
Do you know of any friends who might know where he is?
The friends he had as a child are all at sea. Here, there's not a single one left. He sometimes spends time at the glassmaker's workshop in town, but I don't think they're really friends. However, the glassmaker is probably the person who's seen him the most recently. More than me, anyway. He has a stall in the market square. Maybe he can help you.
You mentioned an argument. What was it about?
His future. See, we're all proud Naughts in our family. My parents were both Naughts. My brother is a Naught, a guard on the docks, and I was a sailor for as long as I could be. I'd give anything to be able to sail again. But since my accident... Well, that's beside the point. Diogo doesn't seem to have the same taste for the salt air the rest of us do. I told him he was an embarrassment and he stormed out. I blame myself, of course, but I just wish he'd be reasonable.
We're going to look for him. Don't worry. We'll have him back here in no time.
Thank you. I hope you find him safe and sound.
Sap and precious wood, leathers and skins, minerals and plants, herbs and mushrooms.
Hello, could I interest you in buying any glass jars? Or lenses, perhaps?
No, we've come to ask you a few questions about young Diogo.
Whatever has he done to merit foreigners looking for him?
His father is very worried and asked us to help find him. He seems to have disappeared.
If that stubborn fool Telmo would even attempt to understand his son, maybe he wouldn't have run off. Fine, go ahead and ask your questions.
Elmo told us that his son sometimes leaves town, but he couldn't tell us more. Do you know where Diogo might have gone?
Well, maybe. This boy's a bit of a wild one, who seeks out the solitude of nature to clear his mind. Well, I know he often goes to a beautiful arch crafted by nature. It's a quiet and majestic place. Well, if you want to find it, head northeast out of town and you'll find the arch just before a rope bridge.
You seem to know why Diogo has disappeared. Could you tell us more?
No, that would be presumptuous of me. Let's just say I know there's tension between the father and his son. But even if Diogo ran away from his father, something could have happened to him. The boy doesn't usually leave for long, so it's strange that he hasn't returned already.
Could you tell us what you think might have prompted his departure?
You've seen Telmo. He dreams of a brilliant sailing career for his son, since his own career was cut short. He's never asked himself what his son wants or what he hopes for his own future. He simply decided for him. It happens often enough, but Diogo is just as mule-headed as his father. So I'm not surprised that he decided to run away on the very day he was due to embark.
What is your relationship with the boy?
Well, I don't know what you're thinking. He's been coming to my workshop regularly for several months now. He talks, I listen, and he watches me work. I've taken a liking to the boy. He's curious and would make an excellent apprentice. Believe me, this is not something I say lightly. Glassmaking is a difficult trade, and there aren't many young people with the patience to learn. Diogo has shown a genuine interest in my art, which moved me. I have to admit, I hoped he would agree to work with me. But although he complains about his father, I know he doesn't want to disappoint him either. He'll probably end up a sailor to make him happy.
We'll leave you to your business.
Thank you. I hope you find the boy. He's a good lad.
Are you lost? Do you need directions?
We are delivering food to this house. The tavern keeper sent us.
He usually makes his own deliveries. What's up with him?
He asked us to lend him a hand. He said he had too much work to leave his counter.
No. We've been trying to persuade him to hire some help for months. Okay, go ahead. Just leave it all in the hallway. The clerks will take care of the rest.
These are the emissary's notes. They were used to prepare for our trial. The identity and location of the witness we met are in here. There's a report here that the emissary hasn't yet sent, as well as a few letters. I should take the time to read them carefully. The emissary mentioned some business she had someplace in land. We should try to find out precisely where. We need a key to open this door. Let's show them what we're made of!
May the shadows crush.
Now I'm going to have to buy some new armor.
torpedo! Orberich rocket!
No quarter!
Hello, Diogo.
What the? Foreigners? Who sent you, Captain Nina?
No, the captain didn't send us. She set sail. But we met your father, who was very worried about you.
My father? Oh, he must be so angry. I shattered his dreams and brought shame to our family. He insists I become a sailor, but he's never asked himself if that's what I want. Never mind. You wouldn't understand.
My dear child, if you knew my family, you'd know that the domain of paternal shame is one I master completely. Go on, tell us about it.
I get seasick, and I don't like being on the water. I'm terrified of the sea. How could I ever explain that to my captain? Or to my father, who comes from a long line of naughts and dreams that one day I'll take over for him?
Is that why you ran away? You were afraid of his reaction?
Yes, but it wasn't just that.
What do you mean by not just that?
I know what I want to do. I want to be a glass maker. Like Guilherme. That probably sounds silly for a Nort, of course. They're all about going out to sea, climbing the ranks, becoming an admiral.
I understand that not all Knots are sailors, and glassmaking doesn't seem like a shameful profession to me. If that's what you really want to do, you should tell him.
He'll never listen to me. I've already tried to tell him before, and just look where that got me. But maybe you could convince him to listen to me.
How so?
Maybe he'll listen to you, if you tell him that glassmaking is a noble trade.
We can try to talk to him, but from what you've told us, he might not listen.
You're the first people to agree to support me. That's already a start, believe me. Before you showed up, I decided I'd rather throw myself overboard than disappoint my father. So thank you very much. Truly.
I hope you've put that idea out of your head for good. Meet us at the dock your ship was supposed to leave from. That's where your father is waiting for us.
I'm already on my way.
Be quiet. We don't want to be overheard. Look out. Guards.
This is some sort of contract between the emissary and Duarte, the false witness. It's all very clear. She paid him to alert the head guard and to tell him he'd seen us attacking the others. There's even a bonus fee for going to Troy. There's also a note, undoubtedly for a future report. It explains the entire plan. I should read it in more detail. This could turn the tables at the Troy. We'll have to be careful. We're not supposed to be here.
Diogo, you're home at last. Are you all right? I've been worried about you. Why on earth did you leave like that?
I'm sorry, Father. I needed a place to think.
What the hell is there to think about? Your ship has sailed, you do realise that? Children, they're always thinking too much. But don't worry, I'm sure I can find a captain who'll take you on.
Father,
What? What now?
We had a chance to talk to your son when we found him outside town. He doesn't want to become a sailor.
What in the great depths are you talking about? Look, I'm very grateful to you for bringing my son back to me, but you're foreigners. You don't know how things work around here. Diogo comes from a family of Nauts. He's going to be a sailor like his father.
Your son gets seasick. And moreover, he has other ambitions.
What are you talking about? Diogo?
it's true, Father. I'm as sick as a dog at sea, and I want to become a glassmaker. A master glassmaker at that.
I can't believe my ears.
You should let him choose his own path. Isn't your son's happiness important to you?
Of course it is, but this is just a passing fancy. He'll come to see the beauty of the sea, just like my father and I before him.
You think his seasickness will pass?
Of course. It's all in his head.
Please, Father, why do you refuse to understand? It's my life, after all.
We are Nauts. Our life is the sea. There's nothing to understand.
It seems to me that his desire is not so unreasonable. Since he can't go to sea without getting sick, choosing a path that allows him to be useful to the guild would seem to be a wise choice. One that doesn't betray your family's values. After all, Nauts aren't just sailors. They're also ship owners, shipwrights, and glassmakers.
You're not entirely wrong. And you know a lot about our guild, for a foreigner.
Father, let me make you a deal. I'll become Guillerme's apprentice for a few months, and if he's happy with me and everything goes well, you let me become a glassmaker. But if Guillerme isn't happy with my work, then I'll become a sailor, as you wish. Why does it matter whether I set sail now or in a few months?
That's a reasonable offer. I'm willing to give you a chance.
Thank you. Thank you, Father. And thanks to you, foreigners, for your assistance.
I'm glad to see you finally agree.
Wait, here. Take this jacket. I'm sure I won't have to wear it anymore. And maybe it'll come in handy.
There you are. Any news? Preparations are underway on my side, but without your help, I'll have trouble defending you.
We found 2 witnesses who could vouch for us. The ink mistress, who heard the scene though she couldn't see it, and the carpenter who witnessed the whole thing. However, the carpenter warned us that his word would carry little weight.
What can the ink mistress report?
That she heard one of the men from the Bridge Alliance insult us before the attack.
So that contradicts the idea that this was an unwarranted attack. But it doesn't justify murder. And this carpenter...
He witnessed the whole thing and can confirm our innocence. But he told us that his testimony wouldn't help us.
I know who you're talking about, and he's not wrong. His past actions mean he's hardly credible. And his support for Alvida could easily be called into question. So if I were you, I'd think twice before putting him on the stand. It would be better to find other evidence or find the prosecution's infamous witness before going to trial.
We discovered that the emissary has a hideout outside the city where she carried out business deals. She had documents there proving beyond doubt that she was behind the whole thing.
I suspected as much. But why would she do that?
So that the Knots would have no sympathy for my people. That they would think we are savages, and would have no second thoughts about participating in our destruction.
It's horrifying, and I'm furious at the idea that someone could have tried to manipulate our people in this way. This emissary won't get away with it, I promise.
We've spoken to the prosecution's witness, who won't be testifying at the trial.
Excellent. I hope you didn't use any underhanded methods that could backfire. But this will give you a much better chance at clearing your names, as the emissary will have nothing to back up her accusations. The whole affair seems suspicious, but the witness's reversal makes me think there's more to it than that. Some dark plot whose inner workings we may never understand.
I don't know anything about your justice system. What will happen during the trial?
Everything takes place in the Admiral's Council Chamber, which you've already visited. The prosecution, represented by the Alliance's emissary, will present their evidence and their witnesses. We'll be able to cross-examine them, of course, and I'll follow your instructions. Then we'll present our own evidence and witnesses, so all you have to do is tell me who to call and what to present. The witnesses and evidence will be cross-examined by the emissary, who will do everything in her power to find weaknesses in them. Finally, the Council will present its decision, which will hopefully be in our favor.
What are the consequences if we lose?
As a rule, we don't sentence foreigners to death. It would be too risky, since we're too dependent on our wealthy clients. But since you're accused of murder, you could end up in jail for a long time, or banished from Yuxantis for life if you're lucky. For Alvida, things are a little different. Although it's rare for a Knot to be sentenced to death for the murder of a foreigner. But if we lose, she'll lose everything. Her rank, her freedom. I hope it doesn't come to that.
We think we're ready for the trial.
I think we have more than enough to clear you. Remember to give me all the documents I'll need to show, as well as the names of the witnesses, and we can go. Don't forget that during the trial, it will be up to you to tell me who to call and what to share.
Defendants, take your seats. The trial is about to begin. We are gathered here before Admirals Cabral and Barcelos. I shall be representing the inhabitants of this island. Our aim is to clarify the events that took place in front of the Ink Mistress's workshop, which led to the deaths of several of the Bridge Alliance emissaries' escorts. The emissary will represent the prosecution. Is the emissary here and ready to present her arguments?
I am. And I will prove, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that these savages murdered my escort and brought chaos to this island.
The defendants are Captain Alvida and the group of foreigners who are her guests. They are represented by the master of the shipyard.
We are also ready.
Very well. The prosecution has the floor.
Your honors, Noughts, I come here to seek justice for the lives of my men who were murdered on your streets. And I will prove to you that these savages are the killers.
Please explain how your men ended up in this part of town, when they were supposed to be part of your escort.
I'd given them the afternoon off, so I assume they were sightseeing. That's when they were attacked by these islanders and their companions.
Why would they do that?
Because they're savages. Ever since my people first set foot on Tir Fredi, we witnessed nothing but savagery. They constantly reject any form of progress. They kill people, massacre them if need be, and then pass themselves off as victims. They lure far more sophisticated people into their nets and make them pay for their crimes. Which explains why these eminent representatives of other peoples from the continent, as well as Captain Alvida, are here.
This whole speech sounds like an indictment, but you haven't provided any evidence.
This is true. Do you have any evidence or witnesses to call?
I do. I call Longshoreman Duarte to the stand.
Well, where is your witness, emissary?
I don't have the slightest idea.
You're wasting our time, emissary. Do you have any other witnesses?
I'll call the head guard.
The head guard didn't show up until after the fight.
Don't worry. We can cross-examine him if you wish.
Very well. Can you tell us what you witnessed that day?
We were on patrol in the neighborhood, and a longshoreman came to tell us that some savages had attacked a group of Alliance foreigners. We got there as quickly as we could, but by the time we arrived, the savages were putting away their weapons and the others were lying dead on the ground.
Is there any way they could have just been passing by and had drawn their weapons to assist my men?
No, they were covered in the men's blood, and we saw them finish off the last one as we approached. I'm sorry. I wish we'd gotten there sooner. We could have saved your men.
You did your duty. What could you have possibly done in the face of such savagery? What happened next?
We wanted to arrest them, but the master of the shipyard intervened and reminded us that we could only arrest the captain.
A law that's difficult to swallow when it's obvious that the ones it benefits are the true culprits, and the innocent must shoulder the burden of their crimes.
In the context of this court, you will abstain from criticizing our laws, emissary.
Of course. Forgive me. I have no further questions for this witness.
Does the defense wish to question the witness?
Ask him if he can confirm who started the attack.
According to your own testimony, you did not witness the attack, yet you arrested the captain.
Well, those men have been killed, and it was obvious that the captain and her friends were responsible for their deaths.
Really? Would the scene you discovered have been different if these people were the victims of a vicious attack and were only defending themselves?
I suppose the scene would have been the same, yes. But the longshoreman?
Since the longshoreman isn't here, what he told you can't be trusted. What was the first thing the defendants said to you when you tried to arrest them?
They were only defending themselves.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Now that the prosecution has presented its evidence and witnesses, it's time for the defense to present its case.
It's our turn now. What would you like us to present first? I call the Ink Mistress to the stand. Can you tell us what happened during the attack in front of your workshop?
I was inside my workshop at the time of the attack, and unfortunately, I didn't see the fight.
That's a very useful testimony.
The prosecution will refrain from commenting until the floor is opened. Continue, Mistress.
I didn't see anything, but I did hear what happened. I clearly heard someone shouting something before the fighting started.
Can you tell us what was shouted?
Not entirely, but I distinctly heard the words savage and traitor.
It was the native who was shouting as he threw himself at my men.
No, I didn't recognize the voice. It wasn't any of the defendants. It was a different voice. What's more, I'd like to add that the defendants were thoughtful, not the savages they've been made out to be.
Thank you, Mistress. It seems clear that the attack was preceded by insults that were proffered by the emissary's men. This contradicts her version of the events.
I don't believe a word of it.
Madam, we have tolerated your repeated interruptions, despite our requests to respect the protocol. But we will not tolerate you questioning the word of an eminent figure on our island. Does the prosecution have any questions for this witness?
No, I have no questions for the venerable mistress.
Would you like to call Silvio the carpenter to testify?
I'm not sure it's a good idea, but I'll let you decide.
Call the carpenter to the stand. He's the only one who really saw what happened.
Of course. I hope his reputation won't detract from the value of his testimony. I call Carpenter Silvio to the stand. Can you tell us where you were when the attack took place?
I was in my workshop, which is partly open to the outside. It's across from the ink mistress's workshop.
So you saw the whole thing. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, I saw everything. I saw the defendants leaving the mistress's workshop. Then a group of armed men in Alliance uniforms appeared. They called the group savages and traitors and attacked them on sight. The defendants were forced to defend themselves. They were much better fighters than their attackers and had no trouble defeating them.
Lies! My trained soldiers would never have been defeated by this savage and his followers if they hadn't been taken by surprise.
Silence! Let the witness finish.
Then the head guard and his men showed up. So did you, Master. And they arrested the captain.
I have no further questions for this witness. After listening to this testimony, it seems clear to me that the defendants were attacked and that they therefore are not to blame.
Does the prosecution wish to question the witness?
Absolutely. You're a carpenter now. But what did you do before that?
I was a shipwright.
That's a far more noble and respected profession in Yuxantis. What happened to you?
I lost my job and my rank after one of the ships I'd worked on sank. I was blamed for the loss of the ship and the deaths of the crew.
Tell me, who was the captain of this ship?
The ship's captain was named Estrella.
She was Captain Alvida's mother. Isn't it only natural that this man, who feels like he owes a debt to the captain, the same captain who risks paying a high price for her guests' violence, would take the stand and lie for her in order to make up for it? Can you believe a man who was responsible for the deaths of an entire crew?
I warned you.
Do you have any further questions for this witness, emissary?
No, I'm done with him.
Does the defense have any other witnesses to call?
I was thinking of calling Alvida to the stand. You were all witnesses, but her word carries more weight here than yours. What do you think?
Call Alvida. She can testify for us all.
I'm more than willing to answer your questions, and those of this snake.
I call the defendant, Captain Alvida, to the stand. Can you introduce yourself and tell us what happened that day, in your own words?
My name is Captain Alvida. I had just received my new ink when it happened.
Can you remind the court of what you did to earn this new rank?
I sailed from the coast of Tynea to Yaxantis in a fisherman's skiff.
A true feat. Please continue.
We barely set foot outside the ink mistress's shop when a group of Alliance men approached. One of them shouted at us that we were savages and traitors to our people, and that they were going to show us our true place. Then they attacked us. Fortunately, we were able to defeat them. It was only then that the head guard arrived. He wanted to arrest everyone, and you stopped him. So, I was the only one who was taken to jail, since my friends here were my guests.
Thank you, Captain. I have no further questions.
Does the prosecution have any questions for this witness?
Of course. Captain, are you sure your savage friend here didn't attack my men before you had time to see it? You wouldn't be the first person to trust in these animals and be betrayed by them.
I'm absolutely certain that the events took place just as I described them. And please don't compare my friend to an animal.
Then how do you explain that a Naut longshoreman alerted the head guard and pointed you out as the attackers?
The only explanation is that he was lying.
And who's to say you're not the one who's lying? Your hands are red with the blood of my men.
Emissary, please control yourself. If you show disrespect to the witness again, we will put an end to this trial immediately.
Please, forgive me. I have no further questions.
Master, we have no further witnesses.
We shall now proceed to show our evidence.
We would now like to present some evidence that has come to light in the course of our investigation.
Evidence? Evidence of what?
Emissary, the defense has the floor. Please allow the master of the shipyard to present his case.
I have here a document signed by this very emissary, which mentions an agreement with a certain Duarte, who works as a longshoreman. The document states that this man is to alert the head guard that an attack is taking place against the Alliance's men. It also states that he will have to testify before this court and specifically identify the natives from Tir Fredi as being behind the attack. The reward for this service is a very substantial sum of money.
It must be a forgery. A forgery created by the defendants to escape a fair punishment.
As our master librarian is a handwriting specialist, I suggest that he examine this contract and give us his expert opinion on the matter.
I will look into this during the deliberations. Have you found any other evidence?
We would like to present this report, which was found in a hideout, where this very emissary was participating in suspicious activities.
How dare you! What kind of scandalous accusation is that?
Explain yourself, Master of the Shipyard. It is highly unusual to describe the person representing the prosecution in this manner.
How else can I describe the activities that required the emissary to travel to an obscure cabin in the inland territory? Not to mention the fact that this report describes these activities in great detail.
Lies! Lies and more lies! An outrageous forgery!
Let the defense continue.
The emissary and her men were obviously making deals with some of our more law-averse Nauts to smuggle contraband.
For shame. Master, I'm counting on you to give us these documents so that we can find the culprits.
Yes. We won't let a few bad apples spoil the guild's reputation.
And just how did you find this obviously forged report?
You may ask your questions when the defense has finished. Carry on, Master of the Shipyard.
In addition to the highly instructive explanations of their smuggling activities, These documents also include a very important element that is of interest in these proceedings. The attack is clearly planned out in detail. The head guard was to be alerted as soon as it took place. If the Alliance men were able to kill the natives, the captain and her companions, then the testimony of the longshoreman and the head guard was to have cleared them of any suspicion. If not, well, we've all seen how the rest of the plan was to play out.
Nonsense! This is unacceptable!
Why would the emissary have planned such a dire scheme that would surely put the lives of her men at risk?
The report is very clear on this point. The aim was to decidedly tarnish the natives' reputation in our eyes. Some are starting to raise their voices here against what's happening in Tir Freddy, especially concerning the deportation of the natives. If we all thought the natives were savages and beasts, we'd have fewer scruples about dealing with them. Wouldn't we?
That's exactly what they are!
That's
Animals.
enough, ma'am! How dare you!
We will study this report carefully. And if it proves to be true, you'll be the one to answer for it.
Master, do you have any further evidence to submit?
No. We have nothing further to present to the court.
We have nothing more to add.
The defense has presented all of its evidence, and will now defer to the council's judgment.
In that case, we will now take leave to deliberate.
Can't I plead my case?
If you were hoping to make a case for your ideas, you should know that's not how things work around here. The witnesses and the evidence are presented, and anyone can examine and refute them, but the final decision is the council's. We'll return once a unanimous decision has been made. The council has come to a decision. I now give the floor to Admiral Cabral, who will announce the verdict.
Thank you. The trial was a farce. It was an obvious attempt to use the Nauts to further the political ambitions of certain factions of the Alliance.
I protest!
We will not stand for it. We find Captain Alvida and her companions innocent, of course, and the Alliance emissary and her retinue are henceforth banished from Yuxantis.
Banished? If you think we're going to accept...
Silence! This is our island. You shall respect our laws. You will be taken back to the mainland as soon as possible. And a thorough investigation will be carried out to identify and bring to justice all those who colluded with you.
The council has ruled, and the court is adjourned.
You're free, and may do as you please until you're ready to board your ship, Captain. Despite the trial, I've had the shipyard working on it, and it'll be ready to sail with the tide tomorrow.
Captain, I know what you think of me, what everyone thinks of me. But could I have a word with you?
What is it?
I hear you're looking for your mother's logbook. I know where it is.
Is that so? How could you possibly know that?
I'll tell you when the time comes, but not here. Meet me at the tavern when you're done.
I don't trust you, Silvio, but I'll come. It would be wrong not to hear you out at least once.
Well done. You've managed to get out of this scrape brilliantly. I hold this emissary and her vision of the world in the highest contempt. I'm glad you were able to put her in her place.
Thank you for your time.
It's my pleasure.
Ah, my daughter's strange companions. I suppose I owe you an apology. If I hadn't been involved with that emissary, you wouldn't have had to prove your innocence in this mess. Take time to rest and celebrate the end of this sordid affair. Now, Unless you have any questions.
Do the Knots always have two admirals? And what exactly is their role?
No, we don't always have two admirals. We've had as many as 6. Until recently, there were 3 of us. But old Placido decided to retire. As for our role, we are the defenders of the Guild's spirit, its decision makers. We each look after a part of the fleet, and meet as a council when necessary. When a sailor must stand trial, when there's a business decision to be made that affects the entire Guild, that sort of thing. I'm in charge of the Continental Fleet. Admiral Cabral is in charge of all travel to your island.
How do you see the Knots? Do you see them as sailors only? As merchants?
Just a few centuries ago, there were only a handful of ragged fishermen on this rock, who starved when the sea was rough. But those who came before me used the inhabitants' gift for navigation to transform it into the base of a prosperous guild. Most foreigners see us as simple sailors, but we're far more than that. We're ship owners. We design and build our own vessels. We're also explorers who open new routes on the seas and discover unknown lands. And finally, we offer our transport services to the different nations and are paid handsomely for them, which allows us to go even further with better ships. I know you must resent some of the services we provide, but we're not responsible for what our customers put into our holds.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for getting me out of there. I'm sorry that even here, you've once again been victim to the Alliance's evil schemes. But I'll get you home. I swore I would do it, and I shall. Tomorrow, we'll have a ship. And even if I can't take you to Tier 4D straight away, it's a first step.
Why do we not leave now? You say you want to take us home, but in the next breath, you tell us we have to wait.
Because this kind of expedition is incredibly expensive. Sailing to Tier 4D takes months and costs a fortune. You're going to need a protector. A patron. But don't look at me. I don't have a coin to my name. My family does, though.
I know someone who wants to go home, too.
Not in the least. I'm very happy to be here with you. You're far less dangerous than my uncle.
We can choose our destination once we're aboard the ship. In the meantime, we can take a break at the tavern or go for a walk. Anything you like. As long as there are no bars on the windows.
Wait. I'm sorry. I overheard your conversation. I'd like to accompany you. Even if I have to wait, I'd like to go to Tier 4D with you.
There are enough of your people on our island already.
And you can surely find another ship. The Alliance regularly funds crossings to Hikmet.
That's true. I could probably find backing for a map-making mission, but I'd have to make compromises I'm not willing to make with people I despise. Please, let me prove that not all of my people are manipulators and forces of destruction.
She did warn us and helped us with the framing, and having an ally in the Alliance could be useful.
The best I can do is to offer to let you come aboard my ship. Whether or not you can be a part of our group is a decision that's for the others to make.